Alright guys, so it's another gorgeous sunny Sunday. It's about 9 a.m. and today I'm going to be showing you how to clean your throttle body. Most people, they would just take off the hose and just give it a scrub, give it a wipe down, but in this video I'm actually going to be removing it to get it really clean. The reason I'm doing this is because I have like a rough idle. Also, I don't know that it's ever been done, so it's probably dirty and doesn't hurt. It's technically part of routine maintenance. It's advised to do it every like 50,000 miles. I don't know that it's ever been done, so let's get started on that. So the things we'll need some, I bought this at AutoZone. It's CRC throttle body and air intake cleaner. We have the gasket for the throttle body itself. We'll see once we take it off. It looks about right. It's just a rubber gasket. I have just a yellow trim tool to remove the old gasket if there is anything. You don't want to use anything metal because it's probably made out of metal. You don't want to be chipping or denting the aluminum. So that's why we have this. We have my toothbrush. That way we can just kind of scrub the throttle body with it, with the cleaner. And we also just have some microfiber towels and some shop towels. And just by looking at the engine, so you see the air gets sucked in here, goes through your air filter down here, past the mass airflow sensor. You also want to clean that when doing this. It's going to go through this tube and into the intake, and the throttle body is right here. So we're probably going to have to remove this piece, unclip this to gain access to it. So to do that, we'll remove the engine cover. Yours, it's going to have two 10mm bolts, then two clips. Mine are all broken off right now, so I've been working on it. And then you just undo the wires right here. And this one as well. That out of the way, lift up, set that aside. Now we're going to want to move the air intake box out of the way. So there's clips like these, you just push them down. They'll come undone, and then there's two back here. To remove the rest of the intake box, you're going to see this piece right here. Just wiggle up on it, it comes out like that. There's another one of those clips I was talking about right below it. And then to finish removing it, you can just undo this piece right here. And there's actually one more of those clips we undid over here, and it's just going to be right down in here. You want to unplug your mass airflow sensor right here, just like that. And then this, you can either use a screwdriver or a 10mm and just untwist that to loosen the hose clamp. There, and with that disconnected just like that, there's just one other hose, and that's just going to be right here. You just pull on them, 1 and 2, there's a smaller one and a bigger one, and that way this moves out of the way. Then with that hose clamp undone, there's also one more on the other end, so we'll go ahead and undo that. I'm using a 10mm extended. And we can go ahead and remove the whole thing. And then once you have this popped off, there's actually one little hose clamp holding it on that holds, I think it's either a radiator hose or an air hose. But instead of taking the little clip off, you can, but it's kind of a pain. Just slide the big radiator hose out of it, and this will just wiggle out. Just like that. And here's the hose clamp I was talking about. There's a radiator hose in here, so what I had to do is just slide it out. First, we're going to undo these two bolts. This will take off the bracket. I believe this is part of the fuel rail or fuel system. Those are two 10mm. Go ahead and remove those. There we have better access to it now. Also, go ahead and remove this top air hose. To do that, just pinch here, squeeze, then pull straight up. So it'll come off like that. Set that aside. Next, to remove the throttle body itself, there's going to be 4 main bolts. Mine were 12mm. So they're just in the 4 corners of it. So there's one, and we got number 2 right here. The torque specs for these, I believe it's anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds. I'll have to double check on that. We got number 3 down here. And then a 4th one in this 4th corner. You want to be careful because there's wiring harnesses here. They're kind of brittle. We don't want to break them. Now that those 4 bolts are undone, this technically slides out of place. Yeah, there's still, looks like we have the throttle line connected, as well as a clip over here for the ECU, then a couple other clips down here, but we'll go ahead and slide that off, and we'll just start removing things. Then on this side of the throttle body, there's a clip for the ECU or something. Go ahead and just pull on that, and it pulls straight off just like that. What I ended up doing on this piece, I thought was like the fuel rail. Still, I'm not sure. It looks like it's coolant. What I did is you have the one line coming in, then it disperses into 2 lines. I just took off this second line because this line goes to the coolant, and this line just goes up into the engine. So I removed this so we can get it free. Now the last thing to remove the throttle body, there's one of these like hoses that goes under, and it's a really awkward direction. So we're just going to remove the entire air box to get access, like better access to that. So if we just kind of look down over here, there's a 10mm bolt right here, and that should make this whole piece come out. And yours would also have one that's just right here. And one thing with that bottom hose, it turns out is a coolant line. So what I did is I went ahead and put a box under the car, caught all the coolant. When this bottom line right here came off, it all came oozing out up to the level of the radiator. Now that we've got the throttle body out, I just connected the ECU clip from the bottom, so just unplug that there. Next, we'll go ahead, this isn't plugged in, but it's still connected right here. So you just have to slide this up and off, but to slide it up, there's this piece in the way right here. So I'll just take this clip off, just like that. Whoops, and then slide this off. Just like that, we'll see we have the whole throttle body removed. So just to go over it, we removed the top hose, the clip from over here on the front, moved this that I thought went into the fuel rail thingy. We had a ECU thingy clip down here. We have the 4 bolts holding it in place. We have this bottom coolant line, and then lastly we just have this throttle wire. To remove the throttle wire, all you do is rotate it as if you're stepping on it. You swivel this out and then just wiggle it straight up just like that. And it's a little hammer shape. And the last step to break it free is just these 2 10mm bolts. Go ahead and just untwist those. There's one. And number 2. Voila. And then just taking a look at it, this side it's really not too dirty, the side going in from the intake. But that's where when we flip it over, and it's horrible. The reason I took the whole thing off is because a lot of videos they just spray a little cleaner in there, call it good, but I feel like really the issue is just back here. As you can see, I'm almost there. As you can see, there's still a little bit of crud right here, as long as these edges, kind of that black spot right there. And the other side, it's a lot cleaner, but we'll go ahead and we'll get this edge and get that grime in there, and we'll throw it back on there. Alright, and if you take a look at that, look how clean it is. Sparkly, there's still, that's not grime, that's just wear and tear, it turns black. As you can see, I got it from this side, it's pretty clean. Probably spray it out, then microfiber towel it out, and then air it out. We don't want to get any particles inside, and then we'll go ahead and just put everything back on in reverse order. And if you take a look at the throttle body, you'll notice it's kind of hard to see. I didn't notice it at first, but there's a gasket right here. You pull this out from the top and then just unline it. In this case, just for peace of mind, even though this gasket's still pretty soft and we could clean it up, but this one at AutoZone's like $4. I'm sure you could get it off eBay for about $1. We'll go ahead and replace that as well. And you'll see we got our new one here. There's a little tab that goes at the top, and then this will just inlay only one way. Just like that, you'll see we have it pressed into place. I do notice this one's a tiny bit taller, so that's probably a good thing. Maybe the other gasket, part of it was rubbed off. That should complete the seal again. We'll torque down the bolts, put everything back together. Let's do it. Everything does go back together pretty easy, but you'll notice there's that tiny radiator coolant hose right here, and so we just want to make sure we plug that in first into this bottom piece on the throttle body. So as you can see here, there's the coolant that dribbled out. Just gonna toss it. I'm gonna add more with some distilled water. It's cheaper to do it that way. And we put everything back together. So we put the air box in, connected the hose under the air box, the 2 on the side, the 2 on the top, this clip. We plugged that back in, we installed that, we tightened this bolt, we tightened that bolt, we secured the 4 bolts that hold the throttle body in place. We checked the throttle line, everything's good. We put that hammer pin back in. We tightened this back down. We installed this, I don't know why I keep calling it fuel rail, but fuel and air rail back on. We installed this piece back on right here. We reattached this vacuum hose, and we connected the 2 computer chip clips back to the throttle body, as well as installed the gasket and reconnected the battery. Alright, and we just took it for a test drive. The only thing left to do, as I said, I had already added coolant. As you can see now, it's at the low level, so on the side I cut it close. Kind of dangerous, but as long as you're watching the overheat needle, you should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and top that off, just monitor it for the next week. Then lastly, I don't know that I noticed more power or anything. 2 things I did notice upon changing this is the idle needle. It seems like instead of like wobbling back and forth, and it barely did, it wasn't like crazy, but it's actually pretty steady now. And the only other thing is I noticed I had to give it a little more gas to launch from first, so I actually stalled it, kind of embarrassing. But usually I just let off and it lurches forward like that. But this time I just gently let off and it actually killed it. So this, I actually have to rev it up, but it honestly does seem a lot smoother getting out of first gear, so that's definitely a lot nicer. As you guys know, I have a brand new clutch and flywheel. It's got about 4,000 miles on it, so really not too much. I'd still say brand spanking new, consider they last up to 10 years. But yeah, thanks for watching, hope this helped. Let me know your results, questions, just throw it in the comments, I'll respond to it. Sorry I haven't posted, it's been a while. I'm actually starting school in about 3 days on Monday. I guess that's tomorrow. But yeah, thanks for watching, peace.